You
Yeah.
mentioned the old school methods. You prefer the old school methods, and we touched upon how you became national champion within a year of boxing.
Mhm.
So what was the typical day's training like under Willie Reddish, which made you into a national champion within a year of taking up
Mhm.
boxing?
It was just I look back on it, and it was just rituals. Boxing is ritualistic. You got to do the same thing again and again and again, and this, that's why a lot of these kids they want to do the Floyd Mayweather stuff like within the second week, and they can't
Yeah.
even throw a jab right. Like I used to say when I remember my first week, I'd say, "All right, can I hit the bag now?" And Willie, young Willie said, "White boy, you can't even punch the air properly. Get back in that mirror." So I had to waddle over to the mirror, and I had to get back into the mirror. And then when I punched the air properly, they didn't let me punch the bag properly.
So this was shadow
And
boxing.
yes, they if I he's telling in his words, you can't even punch the air properly.
So how
How are
much
you going
shadow
to punch my
boxing was
bag?
this a day? How much shadow boxing a day were you
we
doing?
would do we would do but you had to have your feet under you properly. You had to be moving. You don't go right at. I'll explain that later. Anyway, you had to keep your feet moving, and you had to have your upper body and your lower body moving in sync. When you like I was boxing guys like Curtis Barker, the guy's ranked third in the world. He's beating up guys on NBC Sports World, and he's fighting 10-round fights, and I'm fighting these guys that are college boys. And Willie Reddish said to me before I left, he said, "Billy, you should have no problem with these college boys." And that gave me such confidence. I mean, this is a guy. Now I know who he is. Now I know Willie Reddish who he is. And I remember coming down there, and I would lose in sparring, and I'd have my nose bloodied, and that I would go home, and I was more afraid of telling my dad. When I couldn't, I was more afraid of my dad than I was of getting my nose bloodied by these guys at the gym. So I never quit. And I came back, and I was on the sit-up table. We used to have sit-up tables back in the day where they were just a wooden sit-up table where they had an anchor for your feet, and you would just do sit-ups, old-fashioned sit-ups. And I was on the sit-up table, and old Will came over to me. He said, "Bitte, I promise you one thing. If you keep coming to the gym, I promise you're going to start chasing people out of the gym." What he meant by that was, these guys are not going to want to spar me anymore. And it was like such a jolt of confidence that he believed in me. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to keep coming back no matter what." And then all of a sudden, and then young Will told me, he said, I promise you're going to get it. You're going to get that rhythm. It may not happen next week. It may not happen next month, but I promise you keep coming and it's going to happen." And then all of a sudden, bang, I got that rhythm. And it was like a dance for me. And that's what changed me. And that's what won. And when I'm fighting guys that killed a guy, and guys that are fighting on a top level pros, and then I'm fighting in these amateur guys, I had such supreme confidence, not cockiness, never cocky, So college was kind of good. It wasn't like fighting the Philly kid. These guys are from all over the world. It wasn't. Philly was very special.